This is a conscious mind conversation. I'm still in my pajamas and I'm recovering from a detoxing upgrade, which feels so amazing, but doesn't look so hot. So, um, and this is my friend Paul, and we have had a BQH session together recently. And we felt the calling to be able to do a conscious mind conversation, to be able to talk about something that we feel could be very helpful and useful to share with you all. Allegedly, potentially.
Right.
How are you feeling?
Good. Feeling good. Feeling good today.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for having a session with me. I know that it can feel very it can feel very, I don't know, vulnerable to share personal feelings and thoughts and experiences, and fear of being judged. And so thank you very much for trusting me with your journey, because it was a fantastic experience for both of us. And there is something important that I think from your experience will help so many. So if you want to share, I won't do a spoiler alert.
Okay. Like regarding the just in general, you mean, or like my past traumas, or you mean just the I'm trying to remember here which topic we're referring to. Can you remember? Refresh my
Well,
memory.
it was, I mean, we've been sort of chatting about the power of these sessions and how when we feel into the energy of a departed loved one in a session, it is so profound that it's not, you cannot create that with your conscious mind in everyday living, and that the power of these sessions are so healing for the process of grief.
Right. Um, for me personally, yes. It was very profound. Had my first session, and you know, uh, it's until you have your first session. I think once somebody does have their first session, I would think the majority are true believers, and know that to be true. But for me personally, um, my my son had passed, and a few years ago, and I had just started a few months before that with my, I would say actively, without even realizing it, I suppose, my journey. Although this whole thing is a journey. Um, so I got to the, I was very upset in the beginning. He was uh, he passed due to a bullet to the head, um, and without no suspect, from a couple years ago till currently. And I just got a letter recently that it's a cold case. So, but my point is, at the beginning of a few years ago when he first started, when he passed, I was very upset. I was very upset, and I wanted to, I would want to think of all the different things I could do. To you have a lot of anger, you go through a lot of emotions, um, and you sometimes people want to retaliate. Which is and I guess it's good to go through that emotion, I suppose. But um, so I will jump forward a little bit into the fact that nothing has transpired, detective wise, till today. So through my journey, even before my first session, I will say, and it varies to each person, but I got to the point to where I could did a lot of research, did a lot of looking within, answers within, trusting my intuition, and growing, and listening to many sessions, QHHT slash BQH sessions, um, and knowing what was to be true. I could intuitively I could figure out what was to be true. So I I got to the point to where I could, understand that this was his life contract. Sorry about my little one there. And so this was his life contract. Um, he chose this exit point, this manner of death, manner of exit point, and he, at the age he was, he chose that. I come to accept that and believe that. Therefore, that helped me. The fact of understanding what a life contract is and that we all have them, it allowed me to so much. It helped me with the grief, which is what I would like to share with most is that with the grief, understanding life contracts can really be beneficial to going when you're going through the grief, and you may not have that epiphany right at the beginning, but maybe just watching this video here, or other small things you watch regarding the sessions, you may not be your truth right at the second you watch this video, but it'll be in your head. And then maybe a little bit down the road, you'll be like, wait a minute, yeah, I remember, listening, them talking about life contracts. And it'll come, it can come to you. Sometimes it doesn't come right away, sometimes it does, but when it, I have faith that this is going to help someone or more than one person. So the fact that I learned about life contracts and trusted in them helped me to go to the grief. People may ask me and have asked me, so you forgive, the person whoever that may be, who shot your son? Okay, so another term, unconditional love. I have unconditional love for everyone, as we are all one. We are all one. So we're all connected. Now so I have unconditional love for all. I love that person who did that. I don't have to love what they did. However, meaning with my son, however, was that their life contract as well to do that? It was a free will, we don't know, but was it my son's life contract? Yes. Does it matter who that person was? If once you get to trust and believe in the life contracts, that doesn't matter. I have love for that person. And I hope that person can grow and become like all of us here now. So that's just a little brief snippet. Joe, you have anything regarding that?
Well, I mean, human emotion, Joe wants to say that when a child is killed and we have no spiritual belief systems, this is something that could break us forever. And it's not a coincidence that your subconscious said you started your spiritual journey just a few months prior to his exit point. And I think that was such a blessing for you to be able to start having this perspective. Doesn't say that the pain wasn't crippling emotionally, mentally, everything, because it just, most parents, cross their fingers and toes that they would never see their children exit before them, because it just, you have to put on your big pants for spirituality and talk the talk. And I see so many people say that they're spiritual, but yet the thought of losing someone that they love, no, out. That's not, no, suddenly my spirituality turns into a hobby versus the way of living, the way of perspectives, the way of moving through life with balance and harmony and acceptance. And what your session did confirm to you when we asked your son's soul essence to come in through you, I mean, first of all, clarify, did you feel his energy?
Yes, that was my next one. Yes, I did feel his energy, which I never had no preconceived idea that before the session that would happen, or even it was even that question would be, brought up to feel his. But yes, I did. And let me tell you, although in the past it's been hard for me to show my feelings for whatever reason, some inner work that I need to do, I felt that, and I probably allowed myself after the session, because I still felt it after the session. So for any of you out there to, you know, to get a session, if you feel that you're having some struggle still with a loved one passing, friend, whoever loved one, um, have a session and write down your questions and maybe ask for that for that loved one to come into the, and you will feel that. And it's hard to explain. It solidifies, it verifies. Um, it's a hard, and I've heard people have trouble explaining this before too. It is very hard to explain, but I felt the presence. I felt his energy. I felt as if he was right there. I couldn't physically, although I did get a couple of visualizations actually, believe it or not. It is very beneficial. So I recommend anyone to have a session, whatever topic, but when it comes to grief, if you're struggling, or just even if you're not struggling, just to go and have one, and you can feel that energy again. It's very profound. It's very profound.
Absolutely. It's absolutely undeniable too, because right now you probably could try to call in his energy to feel it in that way, but when we're in that very deep relaxed state of openness and feeling, I mean, we can feel the practitioner's emotions. We can feel so much when we're in that very heightened state of awareness and during sessions. So it's fantastic. It's what I have experienced through doing many sessions, calling in the departed loved ones to say, because I love to find out, what are you doing in the afterlife? What did you think about your death process? Like, how did it actually go for you? To hear their recollections of it can be very healing.
Right. Yeah, it's very profound. It's very healing. It's very healing. It just I'm trying to think of the word, not solidified. It all the information that I've learned since his passing. I didn't have a motive to deal with his grief, and actually, I'll admit I wasn't. In the beginning, I wasn't dealing with his grief. I pushed it aside. I had 7 children. I felt that I had to be there for my other children, so therefore I pushed my tears away, and I tried. At that point in the beginning, I thought to myself, I got to be strong for my other kids. I got to show them, as a 3D mind was thinking, I got to show them that you got to move on, and we can mourn him, we can grieve him, but we got to move on, which is not that bad of idea. But so I didn't grieve myself, and I did in private, and that's okay too. As long as, it's leaded to where it is, where I am today, with I'm content. I'm satisfied.
This can be a very challenging, sensitive time when people who are in the deep grief at the time of processing it, when you are feeling it all, for those people who have been strong around you, you almost sort of resent them because no, don't be strong. This is the worst thing ever. Grieve with me. And it feels like, there's only needs to be sort of one person going through the emotion to then realize, okay, we need to support you through this. And often people who are trying to be strong are supporting those who are sort of really going through it, and there can be an accident disconnect because the person who is in that deep grief can see people functioning, and then they feel so resentful that there is someone functioning through that emotional chaos that that in itself can be a very big challenge, because if we're not processing the same emotions together, then we feel a great disconnect, and that can be such a fun challenge for all, right?
Right, and yeah, and I learned from that whole experience. And I will say, through this process, as well as even since the session, I don't know. Again, I'm not. I don't pretend to know everything. I know what I know, and everybody's got different truths. But I trust my intuition, and I have felt, even since the session, that if it could be said that I was even more content with that whole situation with my son, if it could be said that, then let it be said. But even more so prior to the session, I think feeling his energy was like I said, it verified a lot for me. Really been very helpful to to believe in the life, to learn about the life contracts and believe in the life contracts, and trust your own intuition, and have a session,
Mm.
and you will see as well.
It seems to me that when we don't, when we're not able to love everyone at a soul level, we hold either bitterness or resentment or not or something that poisons us. It doesn't poison them. And so for you to release and accept what has occurred with your son and potentially another soul family member who played the, in quotation marks, murderer this lifetime, um, we didn't explore back enough in your first session to see, well, why was that a life contract? What was the significance? What, was it a like for like situation potentially? Like, what was the full reason why you chose to be murdered this lifetime as part of your life contract? Like, that leads us to so many more questions. But it was a big session anyway, and it was more about reconnecting you to the soul to be able to make you remember what and to feel and remember his soul energy, to feel and to have reassurance all is well for him. He is still living. He is not here in the 3D, but he is still he is still doing his own journey still.
Correct. I will say, even at the beginning, even a few days after he had passed, I would just sit and stare and think and think and think and think. Um, and even though it was only a couple months prior that I had started this more actively, the spiritual journey, even back then, looking back, and I noticed it back then, even a couple days after he had passed. And now I don't think that would be his whole life contract, but I think I felt that part of his life contract, excuse me, was, I don't know if to trigger me. I don't know if that's the correct term, but to make me aware and to start learning about things. It triggered me to start asking questions in my head. It triggered me to it led me, honestly, it led me to, I would have never thought of this before, but his passing triggered me within days to two things. Look at, and it came across my, research, just basic research, near death experiences. And I did that briefly, maybe a week or so. And my intuition told me what I thought about that. But boom, it led me to Dolores Cannon, YouTube videos and books. And I really feel that part of his life contract. I mean, I don't know how life contracts work, but I feel that part of it, maybe there's many different factors to it, to where, maybe we agreed, before, say, hey, you're going to pass such and such a time. It's going to, your life, your exit point is going to trigger this and this with these different people. But for me, it's going to trigger a spiritual awakening. And I, this is what I felt.
Absolutely. When we ask, the subconscious, what is the life contract between, the parents and the child? A big part of it is to learn and grow. And absolutely, exit points, the very tragic ones, drive you to need answers. And even if you will never know the identity of the, in quotation marks, murderer this lifetime, that's not the point. The point is to be
Right.
able to find where your son is now. What happens to his soul? Is there reincarnation? Is there life after death? And, you're very right. This was absolutely a part contract of you and your son, was to trigger you into a deeper journey for spirituality, because you knew. And how healing was that for you to experience his energy again, to be reassured by him being channeled through you. Yeah, Dad, this was a life contract. And it was almost like he was thanking you for understanding, because it feels like there are some other family members that are still struggling to come to terms with how on earth could this horrible tragedy be purposeful or significant or even a chosen life contract.
Right. Coincidentally, yeah, it can be um, beneficial. Well, I think always is going to be beneficial, but without saying the who in the family or names or even pronouns, at least one or more members have not dealt with that grief and haven't been triggered yet to to go too much. In fact, it been turned into depression and what have you, and she's uh, experiencing a lot of range of emotions. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I mean, sometimes things take time to develop. Now, on the other hand, I have seen within the last few months a another family member that coincidentally just similar to how it triggered me when he passed. Time has spent a couple years now, and without even any triggering from me, I think this person seeing me with me not forcing anything or trying to push my agendas or my things, my beliefs on him or her. That's even better to know, because that this person has grown from this, delayed maybe a couple years, and they're on their, so it's his passing. You got to understand, can not only help my line contract, it's my spirituality. It's helping others as well, and we need to realize that sometimes we don't always understand what that life contract may be. We can go in and ask in the session, yeah. So that's a possibility. So I strongly recommend anybody to go in and have a session and feel that energy of your loved one. You will be. It's very profound. You'll feel that. You'll feel a connection instantly, and you will know.
Absolutely. It's it's amazing. I am so inspired that you could come through something that could easily have all your choices could your choices helped you find the inner peace that you really needed to be able to then support the rest of your children and family and be that strong being. Getting back to the inner work that you wondered about, can you remember a time of expressing your emotions being criticized or ridiculed? And do you feel like you're resistant to show your feelings? Do you recall a time where you were not celebrated for expressing emotions?
Yes, actually. I will. Okay, so little preface with that. I don't like to go on too long of a preface, but I will say in general, for whatever reason, inner work as a child, for whatever reason, I was not encouraged to express my feelings. Um, you know, the whole cliche, men don't cry. There's a lot of other stuff involved. So I wasn't, I was not encouraged to show so I actively did not show, in private on occasion. So when it got to his passing, like I said, like I said before, I did not show my feelings in front of people, and actually someone did make a comment to me that I knew instantly was a judgmental comment on how I could be so not have a tear, and how I am not going crazy and with all types of crazy ideas on what potentially people can do when they're upset about a loved one in this traumatic manner. So yeah, I was judged that way. Now at the time, I've, you know, none of my children had ever been through a death of someone close, probably a death of all actually that they can remember. I mean, death of someone close. So even though I was trying to show them at the time that, you know, uh, you got to move on. You know, I try to show them love, physical love, and you know, it's okay. We're gonna get through this type thing, and that's good. They learned that. So, but as I've progressed, you know, we always look back and see how we could have done things differently, I suppose. Um, and luckily now through all what I've learned, as well as the session that I had went through and feeling his energy, even before the session, I've gotten to a point where I know it's okay to cry. And it's whether it be his passing or anything that, you know, you got to go through them emotions. There's many emotions. You know, we're here to experience all emotions and go from it. And I do have tears on occasion. I don't get stuck in that. You know, I have tears for the missing him, the memories that he's not going to be here. However, you know, it's progressed me to metaphysically. I know, you know, the bigger picture that, you know, he has moved on. This is just our 3D monkey suits, and he is not truly dead. Nobody is truly dead. His soul has moved on, and we'll reunite with him. And so then tears were beneficial.
Fantastic. Yeah. I heard I read recently someone had departed from their meat suits, and there was this call out on a Facebook page to have a cleansing of the negative energy or the dense energy that was occurring in the home now because of the departed loved one. And you know, it's like, first of all, where is your faith and trust of the guides that are actually supporting that soul? Where is your process and understanding of what a soul does when they leave the bodies? They don't instantly go on to the next dimension. There is a time process where they're actually sharing. They're actually kind of getting acclimatized to being what we would call the fourth dimension, the ghost realm. And so they're actually there supporting energetically those around them. That's a part of their actual journey, is to then sort of review how everyone responds to the situation at hand. And so I thought, very human, very limited metaphysical perspective of thinking that this energy that they were feeling after the exit point was negative, or that he was a stuck soul. There is no such thing as stuck souls, truly. And you know, this is it's kind of like saying only humans can be the heroes here, and yet there is advanced beings, as advanced soul family members that are also able to support those. And those souls that are still wanting to be earthbound to support, that's what they choose. Using our free will to try and banish them away is a very interesting ego perspective. I have had through a client, a soul come in asking to be released because his wife loved him so much that she kept bringing him and thinking about him and holding him energetically here. But that was her, like, because she loves him so much and they've got this beautiful intensive bond, he couldn't be released because he was still so worried for her. So we had to send her healing for him to then be able to let go, to be let go. And that was just using our free will. But you know, the teams in the subconscious finally could reach the wife that was holding the soul back.
I see. Wow, it's interesting.
So, but you know, when we use our minds to think that there are trapped souls somewhere, blah 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 blah. Okay, if that's your suspicion, awesome. Let's then channel about it. Let's truly connect in at a metaphysic level without a human mindset. And I just thought this is very interesting, because when I had experienced a loved one in our house dying, I could feel his energy expand immediately, and his love for us was so overwhelming that made us cry. And it was not sadness, it was just love. And there is a difference in when you understand that the profound energy of love will make you cry. It's not a negative thing, it's not a bad thing. You could interpret it as being very painful to think about our departed ones, because it makes you cry. But it's in my experience, that's the perception.
Right. In relation to that, I would like to add to that, for anyone dealing with grief, loss of a loved one. One thing that helped me, and there's many different ways, things that will help different people. Just for me personally, what helped is, especially in the beginning, yeah, because I really honestly wasn't looking metaphysically right after he passed. I wasn't to that point yet. So in private, yes, I would shed tears, and I wouldn't go for days and days. Luckily, I wasn't, to each their own. But I didn't get too far into it. But what helped me was music, listening to music. Yes, I'm a musician and I play music, but I mean, it eventually got to the point. But what helped me from deep down inside was I would take time out from learning about metaphysical, spiritual research, and I would just listen to music, and it would bring about it would certain songs would bring back memories from a long time ago, whether it be happy, sad, whatever the range of emotion is. Certain songs would trigger the memories, and it was so beneficial. I didn't really know it at the time, but it was so beneficial, and it got to the point to where, um, you know um, I would progress into different songs, and got to the point, to where, it's I'm glad it's gladness, and the songs I hear now got me to a point to where it reminds me of them good things we had, them good times. Um, you know, you can still shed tears at any time, and go down a little bit, and bring yourself back up. Just don't stay down in there. Balance yourself, like what we've talked about. And so music has really benefited me. You know, what kind of music triggers each emotions, and there's all different genres of music. I know what helped for me is a variety. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that, um, listening to music first triggered, you know all emotions, but more so sorry, felt sad, but as I grow and as I've grown, it got to the point where the music got made me happy, and happy for him, happy for where I'm at. It has triggered me to this whole process. It triggered me to love myself. How can I be of service and help other people if I can't love myself? You have to love yourself, and you know, to be content with yourself. I think one of my, um, I guess, in one brief takeaway, triggering that I learned after he passed may not have nothing to do with it, but one thing I learned is that, obviously I have 7 kids, but it's okay to be. I was triggered to be alone, for me to learn that it's okay to be not alone, to live by yourself, not have a partner, for for however long. I needed that. Something told me I need to get right with myself, and I have. And it's, if I someday find a partner, fine. If I don't, it doesn't change me, and I'm glad I'm to that point. But that's just a little side note. But anyway.
I love it. I'm all for it. And this is what people can kind of get a bit stuck with, is getting to that sort of comfortableness and acceptance, and it fun times on 3D, right?
Right.
Another thing that sort of popped into my mind is how we have these kind of unspoken rules of how we should
Right.
process things. And if we sort of feel like we have to do the peer pressure social norms, for example, with grief, it can look so alien to others who are like, why are you not, hysterical right now? And I know so many people are going to funerals right now. It's like something's happening on this planet where there's lots of exit points for a reason we may or may not and be aware of. But so a lot of my clients are saying, "Oh, I'm going to so many funerals at the moment," and they sort of feel that there is judgment cast upon them because they're not like throwing themselves on the coffin hysterically. Like they're actually really happy for the person to have graduated, and they
Right.
almost feel like they can't share that with anyone. And and
Interesting.
yeah, and it's kind of like when again, if you sort of are on your journey with spiritual maturity, death can still be taboo. And there is this, oh, the trap souls now, or oh, the monsters are getting them, or oh, blah 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 blah. There's still so much myths and disinformation around the whole death process.
Right. I have definitely witnessed that on several occasions. Um, excuse me. Yeah, I definitely witnessed that, and I think a lot of people don't. Is myself. I did not realize that a lot of until you sit and think about it now. As I look back, I did not realize. Just take one example, quick example. As a child, I did not realize all these years why I was so afraid of death. Right, fear of death, and I had that all these years growing up, and I knew I had that, but I didn't know why. Now, um, actually, I did not have to ask that in a session. Intuitively, it came to me. I don't know how it came to me, whatever. Um, it came to my mind one day, and I totally forgot that I did this as a child. Okay, so in a brief uh, nutshell, my father and mother have they're barbers. They have a chain of barbershops here locally, and as early as I can remember, 5 years old, for some reason, my father always chose me to, out of, he had 7 kids as well. He always chose me to fix the washer, fix the refrigerator, fix the car, which is fine. I'm glad I learned that. But one thing he also chose me for is, um, which you can't get people to do it now. He would get calls from his local customers when they passed to go to the local funeral home. And so I remember at 5 years old having to go to the funeral home, dreading it, because I knew from before I would have to go in there, and you're the body's there, and my dad's got to cut his hair, but they're just laying on a thing, not to be so. But anyway, so I had to hold the head and turn the person's head and hold it up and like pull to shit, and that is what scared me a little. My point is that a little thing such as small as that terrified me through all them years. And I'm happy that I came to terms with that, and I realized, and I asked myself, I did the inner work. I asked myself, why did that scare me? And I got to the point to where I'm at now. So that's just a little nugget of trying to throw a little humor into it. But yeah, can you see being 5 years old? I can't fathom like my 3-year-old, or if he was 5. Say, here, I got to go to the funeral home and here, hold his head, hold it. I remember holding hands up, holding. It was crazy, but anyway, there. Just thought I'd share that.
Wow. And yeah, I I feel nervous about picking up a dead spider and relocating it out of the garden, let alone moving. Whew, yeah, I mean, and is that does that signify that we're not spiritually mature? It is creepy, but it shouldn't be creepy. But I understand it's like our bodies intuitively know there is no soul in there. It's a difference. There is
Yeah.
something different now. And it's almost the void then creates the overthinking in our minds that there is something wrong.
Right, could be that, and maybe what we've been, like you say, what we've been taught to through the years, as well as any outside influences that have, that may have put, that we have latched onto when it comes to death.
Mm.
So there's a lot of, possibilities.
Yeah. When I was studying religion for my Bachelor of Arts, I did this course which was about death, dying, and religion, and some of the religious rituals to process the bodies are, amazingly very different. Um, going to the side of the mountain and cutting up the bodies to then feed it to like the vultures and the wildlife that does consume human flesh is, one of the kind of eye-opening experiences that,
Right.
really, really honors the fact that we're just meat suits. I mean, why, if you could feed something from your physical bodies,
We
uh,
eat meat, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's the sky birds and things like this, and it's kind of, it feels so like whoa, quite,
Taboo.
yeah. But then, it's kind of like, well, this could feed the the eagles, and this could feed the eagle babies, and the cycle of life, and that really is
Right.
showing like, whoa, you really aren't attached to that meat suit anymore. And of course, it's a sacred ritual, and it's only certain family it's certain people within the tribe that do this sky burial, which is yeah, and it's very respectful to not only the departed, but to the animals that are living off the flesh of humans. And this is not, negative. This is, the gifting, the cycle, the honoring their own, it's a big one, versus us, stuffing our bodies full of formaldehyde, pickling us up, and then putting us in little hotel units of coffins, to then bury us, or to then burn us and then sprinkle our ashes. I mean, you
Right.
gotta,
Is it really taboo? Is it?
yeah,
I
wow,
think I think I'll go with the green funeral so I can let maybe go have my body to for the animals to eat, and that I'll be a recycling. I'll be a green have a green funeral.
yeah,
It's Western civilization. I mean, it's all can be anywhere, but I feel Western um, beliefs or thoughts or whatever seems to shy away from stuff like that. And I'm open personally. I'm open to all different um, uh, you know possibilities when it comes to that. So I respect all of them. Different tribes and what have you do different things for reasons. Who am I to judge?
yeah,
I can
yeah.
respect that.
Well, for my grandparents, we combined their ashes together, and then we took a bit of their ashes, and we englobed them into glass. And so I'm looking at it right now, a glass ornament that has my grandparents' ashes embodied and embedded into the glass. And may sound a bit creepy, but it's actually really beautiful. And the glass has got a purple inlay, and so you can see through it, and there is just this beautiful energy with it. A lot of our family members did the same thing, so we've all got a part
Yeah.
of them, and it's kind of like when people keep the ashes of their pets and their, it's,
Right.
I mean, we also spread out the ashes. It was interesting. We spread them out to the water, and then all these little like fish came and ate the ashes, um, which mortified some people. But you know,
Right.
cycle of life. But I mean, the thing is that when clients ask, I really want to know if my dad's with me when I go to his funeral, to his gravesite, because I do kind of sense his energy, but I don't know whether I'm making it up or not. And I go there religiously, and it was really hard. I couldn't see him during the COVID times because they wouldn't let me. Blah 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 blah. This is their big thing. Can you
Right.
ask Joe? Can you ask my dad? Is he going to forgive me that time that I couldn't go to his funeral, his gravesite? And then I'm like, well, hey, why don't you channel him and you feel his energy, and because if I say, oh, he's fine, don't worry about it, that doesn't feel like, oh, I mean, yeah, I heard the words, he's fine, but when you feel them saying through you,
Right.
I'm not even in that's not even where I'm hanging out. I don't hang out at funeral grave sites, that's just where the physical meat suit is, dissolving um there. I'm not there. And it's of course I could have said that to the client too, but it's good for them to feel that now they don't
Right.
have to feel like they have to do this pilgrimage to honor a meat suit when the father's soul's not connected to it anymore. And the father says, doesn't you can't escape me. I'm always with you. Every time you think of me, I'm always with you.
Right. And for my personal thing too, yes, I felt um, on a not as strong of his energy as I did during the session, but a few times, not even when I was, consciously thinking, trying to connect. I felt that connection, and I didn't realize till later. So, and yeah, they're with us all the time. As we know, time, here
Yeah,
on Earth, we're linear. So, it's a short time for them.
absolutely.
So
People also are afraid that, for example, like with your son, if you connected in, what if he's, like what if he's traumatized and, it wasn't his time to go. And, people are afraid to find out the real truth. And, this is just great confirmation. It was life contracts. He's fine with that. Like it was one moment for him. I could have explored more. Like, did was your soul in the body? Like, did you experience the pain? Like,
right,
we can ask all these details and they are very happy to supply it and say, well, I did want to feel that pain for that experience, but it was purposeful, but now I'm totally fine. Um, so you can ask all sorts of questions just to be able to, but of course, are you going to be prepared for it? To find out that, yeah, it did hurt, but that was significant because I wanted to feel the range of emotions while it happened, for example, right? Like, so,
right,
these sessions are not entertainment. These sessions are not just for shits and giggles. These sessions are to get answers for things that we may be looping over and stuck over and overstressing and worrying. I know many clients who have had abusive parents or so and so ex-husband, so and so. They're terrified to connect in with them. No, 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 I don't want to be abused by him anymore. And when I support them and say, well, have you considered that now that they have left the human experience, they actually are evolved beings again? And they've never considered that they could have actually advanced themselves after the life after death experience and healed themselves. So when you do call in someone who has advanced and can be mature and responsible for all of their actions and behaviors, it's profoundly healing when you get an apology from an abuser through these sessions.
right. Um, right. And if you don't get that apology, if the person, okay, say the person's still living in the meat suit, if you don't get that apology, that's what's so big. I see. I'm not, I'm this people say, no, I'll never talk to them again. Blah 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 blah. Maybe 95% of what they did throughout their life, this person was okay, but 5%, maybe it's something small. Most of the time, it's something small. It's not even something, you know, majorly. And they they have so much uh, negativity, and they lower their vibrations because they're so mad and they can't get over it. So for the people that are still living in the meat suits that don't apologize, you got to get on with that. People have got to get on with that and move on. And that's their choice. That's why you got to love yourself first, and and have that neutral balance. Put yourself, even if you're in a situation where you're upset with somebody because they haven't apologized, look at why haven't they apologized? What happened? Why? Ask the questions. Why did they do what they did? And again, we're all one. You can still have unconditional love for that person, not like what they did on that situation. But we're all one. So two things: when people truly respect life contracts and believe in life contracts, like it gets rid of so much fear. Like having a session, it gets rid of so much. I would yes, fear, but it gets rid of so much of um, the mystery and the unknown, the not knowing. I think not knowing is humans' biggest, what we feel, we think we don't know. So, but it's very very very, I don't know what, everyone who is at any level should have a session, whether it be loss of a loved one, any different topics. We can ask anything. Some people have said, well, I asked such and such a question and I really didn't get too much of an answer. Guys, they know what we're ready for. Our higher self, they know what we're ready for. Sometimes it may not be everything that you want in the first session. Maybe the second session, whatever it is, but hey, interns are free.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And I find people who are still seeking like clarification to understand why they were abused or whatever. If those human beings aren't able to apologize because they're not ready to own their own behaviors and responsibilities because they don't want to do their own inner work, that is all fine. That's them. But you can, in sessions, ask
for
their
healing.
subconscious to give you the information. Why are they behaving like that? What is their motives? Is this a life contract? Did I, was I the a-hole in another lifetime? Like, what's going on here?
Right.
The subconscious is going to tell you, and and then give you this. It's I see so many people hurt by words, like destroyed by other people's words, and we get to choose how we feel. Remember, we always do. So when we are so hurt by other people's words and we ask the subconscious what is going on there, the subconscious will look at that person and see, and they will say, oh, they're very broken children. They're traumatized by an event they will not and are not willing to unpack and explore. And so here we are, very hurt by people's words, and we're not even giving them the respect and the compassion and the unconditional love to really look at their full behavior and question, why are they having to be like that? We know what big kind words are. We know what love is. We know what respect is. We know all of this stuff. If someone is choosing to not be respectful, someone, especially adults, like we know with children, they can try to sort of, I've brushed my teeth, when that they're lying to you. Children are trying to learn boundaries still and trying to, understand, and trust that, when they've been given advice by adults, it's actually for their betterment, not just to control them. Anyway, when adults have got behavior that is not uplifting or responsible and all this sort of stuff, that it's not because they've got all their shit together. There's like literally the opposite. If someone's trying to belittle you, not respect you, and can't show you love, it's not because they're just like, oh, well, I can give you everything, but I'm choosing not to. They literally they're not capable of loving others because they have got so much density, so much trauma from their own experiences.
Right.
You're asking them something that they're not even capable of doing right now. And then you're judging them for their lack of skill sets to be able to love you as we demand from them.
Right. I like that. I like we explained that. That's it's very nice. I like that. It's important to yeah, it's very important. I like that. We can have with our close loved ones, we can see as time goes on, you can look at a certain family member and be like, yeah, just like they can look at me possibly and say, this event that happened 40 years ago is still triggered them to have no trust in anybody or, any possible situation like that. And I do when I meditate, at times I try to send healing to my family members and loved ones. So yeah, I have, even before I did that, I have seen some improvement as a collective, as a whole. Not just in my local community, not just in my family, my children, my family, my local community, Earth in general. Although there's a lot of crazy scenarios going on right now, I personally have seen. I'm optimistic. Yes, I've always been optimistic, but I have seen growth as a collective. It didn't matter what collective. I've seen growth I've seen people, waking up. So that's a positive.
Absolutely. I have seen growth as well. It's very exciting, because it seems like many people are suddenly being activated for whatever reasons to, for this grand awakening. And it's, it's a ripple out effect that is definitely profound.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share. Remind me, how many lifetimes did you have on Earth?
I think it was 3 or 4, maybe. I think 3 or 4. I can't remember actually. I have to. I'll have to go back and look at that. I think I ended up trying to listen too much intently and I keep stopping and starting. I need to just listen to it and stop, push and stop and play and stop and play. But I've had several, and it just that alone of hearing what I said during the session, the basic, it resonates with me on a couple different things that maybe how I am. Minutely, not too much, but so yeah, it's interesting the things. Some people may go into want to have a session as a hobby, I just want to know about myself, and was I special, like I said, a unicorn in another life. On it, and that's fine. Anything can be a trigger and especially if it's a trigger to get them to, where they maybe get a session for whatever reason, ego maybe possibly at first, and then but if it triggers them to, then so be it, because so I see that a lot. Some people have been talking about that, what if it continues them, if it furthers them spiritually, and then fine. We've all had ego. We're all going to have ego. So we can only do what we can do one day at a time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, and hoping that this will be able to remind people that nothing that happens to us on Earth will destroy us emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Right. To everybody out there listening, get yourself in a session. Interns are free, and if there's a situation where you can't have a BQH session, and you have to, for whatever reason, you have to can't find an intern, which should be, but if there's not, there's save up. How much time do we spend? We'll go to the local grocery store and buy a candy bar. We'll buy a bag of chips. We'll go to the drive-through at McDonald's. Just a small amount of just little putting money away here and there can come up with a small amount. Or if you're in an area where you have to pay X amount of dollars, so it's a priority, and I think a session is priority. And it's looking down at the clock, it's 3:33. So I think that's our clue.
Perfect. Well, I still think that there are still great people in this world. And if you reached out to all of your level 1 practitioners, potentially they still want to practice and they're not charging ridiculous amounts of money. And they still can honor the system and they can still support all. So, if you have run out of your interns, be brave, email the next level up, the level 1s, and have a conversation with them. Ask them about their own sessions. Ask them about, all this stuff. Spark a conversation. The worst thing you could do is actually meet someone who is like-minded in your community. And, everyone should have a love and respect of Dolores Cannon and her work. And, having a friend that can just talk about metaphysics is a gift.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And I thank you for chatting with me today. I hope we can do it again, and I hope anybody listening can listen to what we talked about, and it maybe help them with any of their situations. So thank you.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Big hugs. Group hug.
Group hug. Bye-bye.